Welcome to the Fall River Conservation Commission meeting being held at One Government Center. It's Monday, November 3rd, 2025, 5:30. We're at the first floor hearing room. Pursuant to the open meeting laws, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any mediums. Teams are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and if deemed acknowledged and permissible. We'll start with roll call to my left.
Chris Boyle here.
Louis Ferrer.
John Brandt.
Jim Cusick.
Jim Carly.
Tim McCoy.
And we also have Patty Aguirre, recording secretary, Dan Aguirre, conservation agent, and we have Craig from Fall River TV. First, review and discussion of Bell Rock Road. We have no update on that, so.
Nope, nothing new.
Okay.
Make a motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Review and discussion adopting fee structure.
Nothing new to add on that, but again, if anybody wants to schedule a time to go in, to come in and read through what we had discussed before, I think that was the last direction.
Yeah.
I am available.
Can we take a look at our bylaws without necessarily looking to change the fee structure? Or do they have to be,
No, they can be separate.
Could be separate.
because I do think we need some bylaw changes
Okay,
All right.
to
Yeah.
streamline this process going forward.
that's good. Yeah, we'll just,
I'll make an appointment.
Okay. And then we'll start hashing it out.
Motion to table.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Review and discussion outstanding enforcement orders.
Nothing new to add, no new orders, everything is in the process at some point, at different locations, so,
All right.
nothing new.
Have
A motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next, notice of intent SE-24-843, applicant is Marco Fritz, project location is 565 Detroit Street. Assessors map is E-27-0042, filed by Farland Corp. On behalf of the applicant. The applicant is proposing to install an in-ground pool with concrete pad and paver patio. He did send an email requesting to table the matter. Can I have a motion?
Motion to table. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next is the notice of intent SE-24-847, applicants John Henry, owner Harkins and Whitfield LLC, project location 121 Whitfield Street, assessors map C-17 lot 0024, filed by Sean Ainworth on Insight Engineering on behalf of the applicant. The applicant's proposed construction of a single-family dwelling.
So with that, we did receive a request via email today asking that the matter be tabled.
Okay, can I have a motion to table?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is a notice of intent SE-24-855, applicant Weaver Cove Industrial Park LLC. Project location is New Street, assessors map T-2 lot 0001, filed by Chris Fartelli of Goldhart Consulting LLC on behalf of the applicant. The applicant is requesting applicant proposing the after-fact restoration of an area cleared for vegetation.
So the third-party consultant that you had selected has been coordinating with Goddard Consulting and the landowner about the review of the line. I guess there was an issue with none of the flags or none of the wetland delineation that was submitted, actual flags were hung in the field. So they're in the middle of dealing with that. So hopefully this week sometime they'll get around to it. So Claire Hogaboom from LAC, who we retained her services, has been working with Goddard directly to get that done. So nothing new to add on that. We still do not have a signature from National Grid as the adjacent landowner, and we did receive an email from Attorney Nyland, I don't know, at 5 o'clock this evening, reiterating those and requesting that the matter be tabled until they work out the delineation. Okay, so.
Make a motion to be tabled.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next is notice of intent SE-24-857. Applicant is Liberty Utilities Owner Spectrum Realty, project location 994 Jefferson Street, assessors map is B-20 lot 0002, filed by Ryan Elnharding of Trimont Engineering on behalf of the applicant. The applicant is proposing to install a 222.5 foot of 4-inch carrier pipe and 2-inch gas main through the means of horizontal directional drilling. Project also includes an entry and exit pit. This was requested to be tabled by the applicant. Do I have a motion?
Well, I don't know if anybody's here. I don't believe there is. So this is the one that was kicking around with a number of consultants from Liberty Utilities. We've gone back and forth with some emails. We've still never gotten a revised submission that addresses the initial. So I'm, by no presence here tonight, I'm assuming that they're requesting it to be tabled. I would recommend that it be tabled.
Everybody here then? Do I have a motion?
Motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is a abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, SE-24-860. Owner is George Mulatto, Mount Hope Bay LLC. Project location is 0 Birch Street and 1205 Bay Street. Assessors map H-17 lot 0019 and 0025, filed by Jonathan Nero of Beta Group on behalf of the applicant. The applicant is seeking to confirm boundaries of bordering vegetated wetlands.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we're here tonight following up on the INRAD and following up on the last meeting. A couple of questions were asked. The invert for steel pipe that's located on the drawing, the pipe has already been located in the drawing, but we didn't have the invert at the time, which we do now.
This is the 30-inch?
This is the 30-inch steel pipe, yes. The other question that, in fact, you brought up, Mr.
Mhm.
Boyle, is where does the water go?
Mm-hmm.
And we're here tonight to tell you, we don't know where the water goes. So, and in fact, Dan had sent us a drawing of the culvert down there today as we speak. We tried to get the drawings to you. We didn't get these until today because we're trying to make sure that we had everything on. It took a while to get all the information. Let me back up for a minute. The steel culvert, according to the drawings we've got from the city, from our research, Brad Travers is here from Waterman Engineering, that there's a connection to a manhole in the street right now in Birch Street. And there's a new line, a combined sewer overflow sewer project that's, I'm not sure if it's funded yet or if it's gonna happen, but it's going out to bid as far as I know to get done. On those drawings, it shows a 30-inch connection from the property to be reconnected to the storm system. I can't, George is here, he did, with his crew, we did a lot of dye testing. We can't see where that water's going. There's a manhole on top of a manhole. We have a picture of it. Brad will show it to you. It's very difficult to get in that manhole. Somewhere along the line, Birch Street was raised, and they stuck an existing manhole. They stuck a precast manhole right on top of it, cut a hole in the bottom, jackhammered it out, made a hole. It's dangerous to go there. You'd have to have, a rig. You couldn't send anybody all the way down there. But we did find it. So historically, and according to the documents that the city has and that we could find, there is a connection in that street. However, I don't think there's something, there's roots, there's problems with the pipe. At some point, we would come in here to get an RDA after we get the NRAD and come back and get some permission to clear up and see if we can trace that pipe physically and look for it, maybe put something in the pipe. But we've got a guy who's gonna come down and do a camera. He couldn't get to it. He needs more clearing at the pipe. So that's a situation we have. We'd like to work with you on that. But right now, the next question that came up was what's going on with the culvert. We'll give you some information. Let me just summarize it. There is no culvert. It's all silted in. There's nothing there. There is a culvert structure there, but it's way below ground. So we don't know what happened historically at one time, who did it, who filled it. It looks to me, it says silt, according to Mr. Travers, but it looks to me like it was filled for some reason. Maybe the railroad filled it, maybe they're worried about it, maybe the culvert itself. I've done this in the past. You got something that's collapsing, you just fill it up to keep it from collapsing. So that could be what happened. Long story short, the majority of this zone that we're talking about is not even on our property. It's on somebody else's property. And to that effect, when George went down there trying to uncover a manhole cover, he was stopped by the gas company. They didn't want anybody working down there because they got a gas line. So I think I mentioned at the last meeting, we're gonna need permission to get into some of these properties. And I'm not even sure that we have to figure out what happened in the past, but if you want us to, we will. I guess I'd like to turn it over to Brad Travers from Waterman Engineering to let you know the extent that he found elevations, conditions, and he's got a pretty good history of it, and I showed him your drawing. Thank you, Dan, you sent it to me. I just showed it to him. Now, we have that information.
I only came across it because they're actually asking to extend that order of conditions tonight. So in looking at that, I said, this might be of some help.
Yeah, well, it's of some help, but I think Brad can answer it better than I can. I just want to give you the kind of the background story of, we can answer a few questions, but where the water goes is a tough one. So I don't know how we're going to figure that out, but if it, I'll finish with this. If there's a connection that's already there to the storm system, we will reconnect it. Or put a gunner on it. It shows a lateral being placed in the street for that connection. So I think that might be an answer to how we can handle the water in the stream. I'll turn it over to Brad.
Sure. And so, how you doing? My name is Brad Travers, professional land surveyor, Massachusetts and Rhode Island, president of Waterman Engineering. I'm pretty familiar with the property. We've been doing work out there since 2017. And I printed out a few prints, if it'd be okay. I'd like to show you some photos and stuff like that. So I have the overall plan, very similar to the plan you probably saw at the last meeting. I wasn't really privy to some of the last meetings. I know George has been here a couple times. I did watch the recording of the last meeting just to kind of get a sense of you know, what was going over. But I can explain some of the work we did since you know, the last meeting. So let me turn to kind of a blow up. This is the overall plan. This is where the sealed culvert is, the 30-inch culvert. We did shoot an inward elevation, 2984. The pipe does head in this direction, kind of towards the corner of the garage, and heads towards this end of the street. Kind of give you a little history of the property. I do have a photograph. That's from 1939 of the property, just after the 38 hurricane. They did some aerial photography. That garage right there is actually the garage that's still on site. So it's in pretty rough shape. You know, kind of don't want to go in there. Most of the time I've been on site. You go in that building, there's probably a foot of standing water all over the place. You know, that culvert is flowing. And the manholes in the street, we've opened all the manholes in the street, the ones that we could find, those are flowing. You know, I'm of the opinion that it's tied into the city drainage. We didn't find any kind of outlets on site anywhere. We didn't find any kind of outfalls at the beach. You know, we did actually, back in 2017, we did locate that stone culvert under the blow up of it right there under the railroad tracks. And I do have a photograph of that. At the time, I mean, you can see the 20 contour. It's kind of like a bowl in there with a low spot in the middle. You know, at the time, this was around 11.8. Going out was around 11.5. That grade's up around 20 now. I remember when we were out there in 2017, you could walk up to the railroad tracks and probably 10 feet above your head was the top of that railroad wall. And you can see that culvert. I don't know the size of it, maybe a 48-inch culvert, but there was probably only about 6 to 8 inches of it showing. I mean, it was all silted in. You couldn't even get anything underneath it. And I have some photographs of that. Now you go out there, and you can stand at the top. There's riprap that travels that whole area, and you can pretty much sit on that railroad track wall when before it was, you know, 10 feet above your head. So you can see, that was 2018. Our survey was done at the end of 2017 or so. We show the gas line. You can see in the photograph here. You can actually see that stone right there. That's the culvert that goes underneath. And then in around 2019, you can see all that riprap in there. So that whole area was all filled in along with the grades within Birch Street. A lot of the manholes we show on the plan that are off-site towards the water are actually well below grade now, by some areas by feet. So standing on that culvert, I mean, just to give you an idea of what it looks like out here. I mean, there's some areas you're on your hands and knees crawling around. A lot of construction debris, concrete slabs, piles of asphalt, kind of everywhere on site. You can see some slabs here. Some areas unsteady ground. You're not really sure if you're gonna take a step and go up to your waist in debris. Some areas, aren't even, it's not safe to walk. Just slabs of concrete everywhere. I mean, this is all just stuff laying around that's now all overgrown. And that's throughout the entire site, from one end to the other. I mean, it's just, if you were to shoot topography out there, you're not even shooting grade, you're shooting the top of debris, materials that really just need to come out of there, right, in order to actually be able to shoot those elevations. This is the manhole behind the Jersey barriers. So there's a manhole on, close to being on site. It's tough to tell if it's on site or if it's within the street right of way itself. In this area, it's shown on those city drainage plans for the sewer separation for the CSO project. We staked out the location of that manhole for them to kind of poke around and see if they could find it. They weren't able to find it. Looking in the manhole behind the Jersey barriers, I mean, that's what it looks like. There's a pipe that comes this way, a pipe that comes this way. These are the two pipes from the catch basins in the street. And supposedly there's another pipe that comes from this direction. But this is kind of, atypical that, usually that's nice and wide open. You can kind of see what's going on. It almost looks like a structure was put on that, like Fred said, and kind of just smashed out the middle of it. So I think the whole purpose of this in general, I mean, this is just to give you a sense. That's some photographs of that gas pipe from 2017. That riprap and the grade that's out there now is, well up into here somewhere. These railroad tracks that are there now, you can hardly find them now. I mean, you're up to brush like this, and a lot of this area has all been filled in. Get a picture of what it looks like now. This is what it looks like before. That's a photograph now. Same angle. You can't even see where that culvert is. I mean, that culvert's probably 10 feet below grade in that location. So, the whole purpose, I guess, of the ANRAD in general is we intend to go out there and stake these 100-foot, the limit of the 100-foot buffer zone. And the purpose of that is just so that, some of those concrete slabs and some of that, you can see in a current aerial photo. There's a homeless encampment out there now. And this is just all debris, clothes, shoes, shopping carts. I mean, you walk out there and you're up to your knees in just trash. Not really excavation, but more just like cleaning it up, just getting that trash out of there so you can actually see the ground and get to those grades. That 100-foot buffer, is probably in here somewhere. So I mean, if we verify the location with the ANRAD, I mean, we can stake that 100-foot buffer, the limits of it. Some of that trash and debris can get cleaned out. I still think there's some utility investigation that has to get done. But I know, some of those guys aren't cheap, and to get them out there with their equipment, whether it's CCTV or whether it's, GPR, you wouldn't be able to GPR over those concrete slabs and all that material out there. So it'd be nice to get some of that material out there and kind of have an area for them to be able to take their machinery down there and try to see where that pipe goes, whether it's from that manhole or from that culvert, you know, camera it. I know we've worked on some projects in the past. They have, you know, some of those lines, they have cutters on them. You know, it could be broken pipe, it could be root balls, anything like that. They'd be able to cut through that and kind of see, you know, where that pipe heads. So I think, you know, us being able to stake those buffer lines is important for, to make sure we stay out of the buffer zone with any of that cleanup and for those guys to be able to get in there and get in there with their equipment and do that stuff. So that's kind of the extent of it. And if there's any questions, I'd be, you know, happy to answer.
Any questions on the board? Any questions in the audience at all? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I guess if I may, the presentation he made kind of gives everyone an idea of the conditions we're up against. It's easy to say it, but Brad's been out there, and the photos are pretty indicative of what's going on out there. So I guess tonight, I know we have questions. I'm not sure we can answer all the questions tonight about the culvert, except that, in my mind, it doesn't exist as it looks, you know, we talked about it before. And then, I think I've answered the question about the steel pipe. Again, I don't know where the water goes. So I guess to wrap it up is to see if we can get an INRAD tonight to set the buffer zone. I believe the last time we were here, I brought Beta to come along if there's any questions on the wetland flag and stuff like that, to answer any questions there, but if it's.
So there's no question on the BVW line. I've said that multiple times. What I did question was the presence of isolated land subject to flooding, which
Right.
we still don't know if it occurs
Still,
or not.
right.
So even though there's not an open culvert, if water is still getting underneath that railroad, it's still considered a culvert, and then that would eliminate the isolated land subject to flooding. So that's still a question that we need answered. The last meeting, we also said, come in with an RDA to do the cleanup and to take out vegetation or do whatever that you need to get in there, including inside the 100-foot buffer zone. We didn't get that.
No.
So we gave you marching orders, and we didn't hear back from you until today.
Well,
Oh, actually, I spoke to George last week.
Yep.
And we discussed some of these items, one of them being, okay, the manhole on top of the manhole, did anybody hang anything of a camera, a GoPro, anything to get an idea of what's there? Or have we not even made those steps yet?
We sent labor down there with a high-powered floodlight. The hole is less than a person can.
Right, but if you can hang a camera down, you can see
We
if,
did not hang a camera. We
why
took
can't you hang?
pictures.
No, they didn't, no, you didn't hang.
You hang a
no.
camera down on a rope or a string to the bottom of that invert, you can see what's in the bottom of that manhole. Simply, at least then you know if you're even close.
We
Well-
could see the bottom of the manhole, and there was water flowing.
But
We're
Right,
talking
so-
about, I'm sorry, I
The
don't mean.
water was flowing, and we sent dye down to that, what we thought was a connection, and there was no dye in the flow.
So when you file an ANRAD, and there are other resource areas, we can't deal with that. If you need to get room to get in there and get a camera in there to camera the line, then that could be done through an RDA, which is what we offered at the last meeting. But we don't have that. So you could theoretically be clearing out there tomorrow if you had filed the RDA. But we didn't file that. So we can't act on that. In 2017, when you surveyed out there, were any of those concrete slabs there then? I walked the entire site,
Yes.
and it's not that bad to get around.
Yes.
It's bad, but.
It's,
so
I mean, I was there a week ago, and I mean, I was on my hands and knees walking around through
Yeah,
there. I
oh, it's
mean,
not easy, but I had to go look at the line, so,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
did go.
I mean, 2017, I know none of that riprap was in there. I do know, you know, we didn't see any standing water in that area. We didn't
Right.
see any outfalls in that area.
I know George had said that you found what you thought was something on the downstream side.
Well, this is what it looked like in 2017 for that culvert. I can show you. That's the culvert in 2017.
The top of it. So theoretically, water still may be at least, what do you think the elevation is of that now?
Well, the elevation of that now, I don't doubt is any different than when we shot it on here in 2017, which was 11.8.
And what's the bottom of the hole now? That current survey?
The current survey, I mean, the low spot, we're probably around 15, so surface water, I
Right,
believe,
so-
heads in that direction,
So,
correct?
so we through this riprap, there's still a chance that that's bleeding out because the land area is above the opening in the culvert.
Over land, I think.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
So you may not be getting the right information. Two complete separate issues. One is the pipe.
Yep.
By no means do I think that pipe is connected to that culvert in any way
I
or
don't think-
discharges
I don't
to
think
it.
so either, yeah.
So
No, I agree.
No.
I think it finds its way to the drainage system.
I agree
All we
with
want to
that.
know is how and why. Because if it's not connected to the drainage system,
Mhm.
I don't think the Department of Community Utilities is going to allow a connection afterwards.
I
So-
agree with that.
So I'm trying to resolve some issues that may rear its ugly head later on.
Mhm.
So if we can find out where it is, then that resolves that issue.
Mhm.
I'm assuming that the riprap pile, water is still, I was there right after a rainstorm and the ground was dry. There's some leaf staining but it's not
Yeah.
holding water.
No,
So
it's
I
not
assume that
holding
there's
water.
still some culverted connection underneath the railroad.
Perhaps, yeah.
All I want is some proof of that so that it's not an isolated land subject to flooding.
Which we have the invert from when we shot it in 2017. It's
The
just-
invert or the top of the silt?
The top of the silt.
The top of the silt,
Top of
right,
the
which is
silt.
downstream from the hole now. So
Correct.
water would still be flowing through.
Correct.
So if on a plan, you can show riprap and still show that the invert is still there at the, whatever's little opening, then you can say with a straight face that water is flowing down to this depression, continuing flowing downhill to whatever opening is left after it gets through the riprap and makes its way out to the other side.
I can say that now, I agree with that.
Okay, does it say that on plans? Because I haven't received the revised plans yet, so.
We have the, I can bring it over to you, we do have the invert elevations on there.
Okay.
So those plans.
Do we have any information on the downstream, or you
Yes, we
can't?
do.
And does it look like there's still any way that water can get through, or do they do the same thing, or?
It's the same on the other side where it's silted in within 6 inches to 8 inches at the top, but we have an invert elevation at the
Okay.
top of the silt.
All right, so I would recommend this. You're asking that we approve an ANRAD so that you can mark a 100-foot buffer zone
Correct.
to do clearing.
Not necessarily do
Let's do
clearing, but I would say clean up and then temporary construction fence.
So why not just file an RDA the way we requested, and you can clean up and clear up to the wetlands line, if it's truly all debris? That's what we thought we were offering
Yeah.
to you last meeting.
Yeah, I
Which-
wasn't here at the last
No.
meeting, but yeah, I understand.
And that can run concurrently with this. So I think if we get revised plans that illustrate those three items, you knocked off one with the invert, you can make an assumption or just throw a camera down and see if you're getting into that manhole. Will allow you to clear it, even without issuing the ANRAD, through an RDA.
I mean,
Then you can go answer the rest of the questions.
We don't
after you-
camera lines, but I know some of these guys that
Yeah.
do camera lines, I mean, they charge, $3,000 to $5,000 a day to go out there and camera lines. I would just hate for someone to go out there and run into a roadblock and there's an area where they can't access it and they won't go out there.
So what kind of access do they need to get to get to that 30-inch?
To get to that 30-inch?
Yep.
I would say at least cleaning up some of those concrete slabs and some of that homeless debris that's out there.
So file an RDA may actually be an exempt activity under exploratory,
Yeah,
and get them in there to camera it. Because if we find out it's clogged or completely silted closed,
yeah.
I find it difficult to believe that the Department of Community Utilities is gonna allow you to connect to their CSO tunnel.
No, I agree with
So-
that, yeah.
It would behoove us to find that, make sure it's clear, and that water is flowing and it is entering the city's drainage system.
I just think the ANRAD would keep them moving, would keep them moving as far as getting us to be able to get out there. I mean, it takes us time on our schedule to stake the buffer zones.
Well, we started this, no, there's no staking a buffer zone. It's filing an RDA
Yeah,
and clearing that site to whatever degree you want to clear it up to the wetlands line. You could have had that permit tonight,
yeah.
or at least I would have recommended that they issue it. And on that, we would have approved the BVW line and allowed that work to happen. So you still don't have the ability to go and clean within 100 feet of that wetland, even if we give you an ANRAD approval for the BVW line only.
Yeah.
Because it'll
no,
be, we can approve a wetlands line, but it's gonna come with conditions that you're not gonna want. So I would suggest that you file an RDA, like I had recommended. at the last
It was my understanding that nothing was being done inside that 100-foot buffer, that everything was staying outside the 100-foot buffer.
But you need to get a camera to it. So do we need to do anything within the 100 feet or not? Or are they gonna jump over all the slabs for the last 100 feet?
I think what they're gonna do, I think it's kind of twofold. I think some of it is the investigation down here, but some of it is putting a construction fence outside the 100-foot in order to store materials for his business.
I've already allowed him to cut outside the buffer zone to that, up top of that slope. Before he even filed, we met on the site, yep,
Okay.
you're far enough away, extend over to the top of the slope.
Okay,
So-
so he'd be able to put a construction fence out there with
Of
the
course.
way it's currently
We,
cleared?
we've already had this discussion to the top of
Okay.
that slope, because it was nowhere near the 100-foot buffer zone.
Okay.
And that was clear conversations that I had with both of the
I
gentlemen.
was
So,
under the assumption that was
if-
done at his
if-
own risk.
No, not at all.
Okay.
So the culverted work, because you're telling us that you need to go in and clean so that you can go get a machine to go do the camera testing so that you can answer our question about where is the.
Well, just to follow
The
it from this
30-inch
manhole,
culvert.
to follow it from the manhole heading in, not necessarily to go in here, but to follow it from the
So
manhole.
you don't need to clear it at all if you can get a camera down in the manhole.
No, I agree, yeah.
So sending a laborer down to say, hey, what's down there,
That's
is
the
different than
manhole.
getting a camera test.
I was
and
just
looking
thinking
at the bottom of
if
that
they were
manhole.
able to go 20 feet and then they have to go any further on site outside the 100-foot.
Yep.
You know, they might not be able to do that.
I guess, if I may.
Sure.
The buffer zone that's shown on this drawing, is it safe to say that you'll accept that buffer zone the way it is now, the way it's drawn?
If it's 100 feet from the bordering vegetated wetland,
Right.
Yeah.
and if there's a culverted connection, it can't just be, we don't know where the water goes. And clarification that the existing culvert under the rail line still exists in some form or fashion and is allowing water through, so that we don't have an isolated land subject to flooding.
Okay.
I don't think my questions have changed since the first
Well,
presentation.
no, but I mean, understanding, my understanding is, and I heard your marching orders, but was sometimes not able to march for one reason or another, whether it's a misunderstanding or the fact that it's physically impossible. So if the culvert that you're talking about, if you're considering that a culvert, even though
Which
it's,
one?
say it's a foot.
The one under the rail line?
The one in the.
Yep.
If it's only a foot, let's say.
If it's allowing water through it, then it's
It's
allowing water through.
It doesn't have to be a cleared culvert.
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, I'm-
There-
Which I
there-
think we have that.
There are some culverts that are stacked stone, and it has to
Yeah.
go through the crevices of stone.
exactly, no, I know that,
Yeah.
okay.
So I think even cammering that line, you know, is that worth it at this step? It's probably worth it to do the RDA. You know, get clearance to clear further, and then do the cammering once we get the RDA. Is
Yeah, I
my understanding that
mean-
right?
Well, you've got that right, because I'm concerned that it's, in my experience, that there's something wrong in that line, okay, something's blocked.
So we want to clean it
We
now.
want-
So,
yeah,
right,
but-
so if it's collapsed, we want to fix it.
Right, so in order to get to it, the camera might go down about 10 feet.
Yep.
So now we gotta still fix the pipe, get to it, see
Mhm.
what really the blockage is.
So
without
on the RDA,
Go the RDA,
you
no, I
file,
agree, I
you
agree.
file an RDA to do whatever clearing,
Right,
whatever camera testing, and whatever replacement of pipe that you need to do.
Okay.
If you find a blockage or an obstruction or a break. So include that in the proposed work.
yeah, okay.
That's easy.
Yeah, well, I was, you know, the important thing is to, the area that we cleared, that, you know, you allowed us to clear, is, we didn't clear the 50-foot mark all the way because we're in the 100 feet. It's
Mhm.
kind of fuzzy back there, so we left that alone. You
Yep.
saw what we did, and we stayed in there. I'd like to have Brad stake out that 100-foot buffer zone.
Yep,
So
that's
that we
fine.
can finish the clearing that we're doing. It's also a staging area.
Well-
There's no room in the yard
So,
to do
so
anything.
just to understand, when we say staging area, that water makes its way to the wetland.
Right,
So we can't have silt and dirt
No.
and everything else washing down this slope.
no, we'd
So
have to. put-
clearing is one thing, cleaning out the area, leaving it the gravel surface extended like yours is now, there's no pavement, there's no nothing.
Oh, no, no.
It's, so that's,
We don't
yeah,
ever
of course you
intend
can go up to 100-foot buffer zone. Well, we had that discussion already.
to- Okay,
But that's completely different than reviewing an ANRAD for the entire property, looking at all the resource areas,
Mhm.
and dealing with where does this pipe go? Because if we find out that the pipe is completely blocked, now we've got a different issue to look at.
gotta replace it,
Well,
fix it. I don't know if you have to replace it, but.
I don't know. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
again, I think we talked about this last meeting, a 30-inch culvert conveys an awful lot of
It's
water.
intended to convey a lot of
And it's
water.
intended, so the last thing I would want is to develop townhouses and find out that that's blocked downstream somewhere. And then now you've got a significant rainfall event, and there's nowhere for that water from that wetland to go. That
Oh,
could
no, I
be
agree.
problematic down the road, when you probably, you're increasing impervious surface in the development, right? So that, to me, is an important question for you all to understand prior to the start of the project, I would
Right.
think. It would be for me, I know that. And
Well, and it's, my understanding was that we needed the NRAD to establish these buffer zones, but if you're comfortable with the buffer zone.
We'll put it
I'm not
this way,
putting words in your
if
mouth.
you're, again, I don't have the plan, but
Yeah,
whatever the flag numbers are that are dealing with the upland portion
yeah.
of this site,
Mhm.
we'll approve one tonight, just approving those flags.
Okay,
Sure.
that,
Yeah.
that would be.
I just recommended not us staking the buffer zone, in that area, because if we don't have approval of that buffer zone,
Well, we'll approve the ANRAD of just those flags.
Okay,
Sure.
Because what's gonna happen is if we approve the entire thing,
okay.
Sure.
No,
we're never gonna get answers to culverts, we're never gonna get
Sure.
answers to anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I agree.
I don't have a problem recommending that they issue a line from, if you wanna give me the plan, I'll tell you what flag numbers.
You want one copy?
which flag numbers are we talking about? B? Down.
WF 100 through WF 1,
Which one's the top?
this says 1012, but I think it's 112.
One
Oh, we got that.
there,
So for
Just from here
here,
to here.
We have a big conference
down
going
here.
on right here, we'll get you.
so this is what you get approved. This
So
here.
the upland side, yeah.
And that no determination has been made to any other resource area around the site. So before you do anything down here, you gotta file again.
Right,
That works.
yeah, we'll do the idea.
Yeah.
So you can approve the ANRAD for flags WF 1-100 through 1- the plan again says 1,112, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be
112.
That's correct.
which is just adjacent to the brick building. That's the last wetland flag on that side.
And that's to 112? 112.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that no determination of any other resource area on the site is being approved at this point in time.
All right.
Make a motion to approve the ANRAD only for the line item of the wetland flags, WF 1 through 100, WF 1-100 through WF 1-112 only.
Do we have a couple sets of the revised plan, so that we have it for file?
4 sets if you want.
We'll take them all.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was gonna keep one for myself.
Or you can keep one for yourself.
I can email you one if you want me to.
Yeah.
If you can too, but give me whatever, you can keep a set for
Yeah,
yourself.
let me keep one.
We had a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, we took so much of your time, I appreciate it, and we'll get back to you very quickly on the IDA. Thank you.
Got the wheels in motion. All right, next up is notice of intent SE-24-862, applicant Hyde Development LLC, owner Porter Street Realty Inc., project location SS Slade and WS Bay Street. Census map is H-17 lot 0002, filed by Jeffrey Tolman, a Northeast Engineering Consultant on behalf of the applicant. The applicant is proposing construction of a 9-unit townhouse development consisting of 3 buildings associated with parking area utilities. On lot 2 as shown, consisting of 3 buildings associated parking area on lot 2 as shown on the city assessor's map, 17, located on the west side of Bay Street, south side of Slade Street, and proposed work is located in the buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetland.
So while Jeff gets that up there, this was tabled from the last meeting. As you recall, there was an ANRAD previously approved for this, with the wetlands lines locked in place. The initial plan, we had a few comments. I can offer that Mr. Tolman has responded to every one of the comments, submitted revised plans all in advance of the meeting, was able to review them, reviewed the new drainage calculations, and I would say that he answered all of our concerns. Most specifically, making the 25-foot no activity zone, staggering the buildings down to eliminate the amount of 2-to-1 riprap slope, drainage calculations, soil borings, and testing that they went out and did. I don't want to steal Jeff's thunder, so I'll let him give some presentations so he can get paid. But
I'll
no,
get paid either way.
I have nothing else to add to it. I would just recommend, my recommendation would be to issue an order of conditions, special condition being site plan review approval, which should be pending any day.
For the record, Jeff Tolman from Northeast Engineers and Consultants, and just to wrap up my presentation, the changes that were made, as Dan had mentioned, we did change the overall grading of the site up closest to Bay Street. We made that a little bit steeper to cut down on the amount of fill that we needed at the back of the property, and in doing so, we were able to drastically cut back on the riprap slope that we needed at the rear, adjacent to the wetland. In doing so, we were able to maintain a 25-foot no disturb buffer. On the other part of this project off of Slade Street, there were no significant changes there, other than the fact that we did go out, we did a test pit in the area where the drainage system's going. As a result of the information we obtained there, we did have to add one additional Coltech chamber because the infiltration rate in this particular area was not as anticipated as what we had up here. The test pits that we did up at the top, which we did 3 of them, all revealed that the infiltration rate that we were using was adequate for this section. So we really didn't make any changes to the drainage system in this area. So those were the changes that were made to the plan. Be happy to answer any questions that the commission might have.
How many test pits in this particular process?
We did 3 in this location. We had three different drainage systems. We have a rooftop drainage system, one for the parking area and another rooftop in that location. And on the Slade Street area, we did one here in the area of the drainage system.
Okay.
So we have 4 separate drainage systems, all 4 had test pits done.
Okay. Anyone in the audience for this? Okay. So can I have a motion for order of conditions with condition site plan review approves?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, notice of intent SE-24-861, Baron Wakowski Calhale of NEPC National Grid, Weaver Cove Industrial Park LLC, existing overhead transmission line, ROW. Project location, multiple locations. Filed by Erica Marcelo, Power Engineering Consultant, on behalf of the applicant. The project is located in a section of existing right-of-way from Sky Road substation of Somerset Fall River municipal boundaries over Taunton River. Project consists of separation of existing N12 and M13 transmission lines, structures within the existing right-of-way.
So this is, if you remember, the power line construction that runs hand in hand with the Weaver's Cove parcel. And we had made it clear to National Grid at the time that the same way we need their signature on Weaver's Cove's application, we also need Weaver's Cove's signature on their application. So they have not been able to provide that as of yet. I did receive email correspondence from them today asking that the matter be tabled, that they have no new information to provide at this time.
Is that the only item that's, the only roadblock that they have? Is just
Yeah,
getting the-
yeah, I mean, I had done my review of it, but once I got that email, I didn't
Right, stop.
bother going through it with my review, so. But fairly easy one.
All right. Motion table?
Yep. I'll motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, a notice of intent, SE-24-864, applicant Captain Joseph H. O'Connell Company, Inc., project location 180 River Street, assessors map is X-01-0016. Applicant is seeking an extension of existing commercial marina. This is tabled from October 6th.
Good evening, Sean Leach, Northeast Engineers, representing Captain Joseph O'Connell Company, Inc. I understand Mr. Aguirre was out of the office when we supplied the responses to his written comments of last Wednesday, so I understand that we're probably gonna continue tonight, so, but I wanted to appear just to make sure we're addressing everything that we can address, or if there's any confusion from the commission itself, because I'd like to wrap it up at the next hearing if possible. This, as you know, is an expansion of the existing facility, the Captain of, which is on the end of River Street. I think we're all familiar with where it is and what it is. I believe some of the history was brought up in the last meeting, but I just want to go over it once again. We were approached to do this facility, and it's on, there's 2 lots here. Mr. Aguirre had us labeled the 2 lots, and the expansion is only on lot 16 for this particular facility, and that's the way you originally filed it, but I think Mr. Aguirre had requested that we show the whole facility and both lots as part of this application. What we're doing is basically providing berthing slips and what we call transient boating slips for the existing facility, only on lot 16. We had approached the Army Corps and Waterways earlier because of the ancient license that exists for the facility on the other lot, and the confusion of what is existing, what isn't existing, and they preferred us to do 2 things. One is come in with a comprehensive plan showing everything that's there, and also outline a marina facility, I know it's a bad word, marina facility with coordinates so that they can reconfigure as needed without having going back and forth to the Army Corps and Waterways. So we've addressed Mr. Aguirre's comments. I know he hasn't reviewed any of them, and I understand that. But I just want to make sure, there are a couple of things that are kind of unique to this particular facility. One is the riverfront area. We have indicated the riverfront area to show the historic high water line, because it's the most conservative riverfront area we could come up with. This is historic filling of the riverfront area. It's been filled for 100 years plus on lot 16, also on the jetty on lot 19, X19. So we showed the facility. I mean, we're not working within the riverfront area. All this work is going to be below high water. This is going to be attached to the existing seawall, which is at high water. High water comes about 3 feet above that seawall. So what we're looking to do basically is just get that part permitted, and then we're going to go to the state and Army Corps to permit the whole thing as a comprehensive permit, because they didn't even realize this particular facility had a license. We had to send it to them, and then they said anything existing prior, we're going to consider grandfathered, so just move forward with the expansion and continue and license whatever's there as one particular facility. So that's what we're planning on doing. We think that's a good way of doing it, because we weren't sure, as far as approaching this commission, how we should do, what, and also how we should license the facility, since it is under common ownership, although it is considered 2 separate lots, so to speak.
Any questions? No, we have everything.
So Dan, they have all these recommendations, correct?
I haven't reviewed it to see
Okay,
if those have been responded to.
okay, you have
I could, looking at it, I can see that some of them have been.
addressed.
One of the questions, and maybe Sean can just answer this tonight, on the northerly property boundary, why does the riparian right not extend at the same bearing as the property line?
There are 2 reasons for this. One is, on a riparian line, you typically, when it comes to historic high water, and the best historic high water we had was an old railroad plan from 1905. Before that, if anybody knew what was going on there, I'd gladly take their input. But it's typically perpendicular to 2 things, the channel line or perpendicular to the shoreline. Typically on the ocean, it's perpendicular to the shoreline because there's no channel. In this particular case, there is a channel out there, albeit, as we've shown here, 690 feet to the buoy that marks the channel. And there's historic filling on an unlicensed, unpermitted facility to the north of us. So they're actually sticking what I would consider into our riparian right for the historic line. If you drew a line perpendicular to the historic water, it would go this way, which would cut off the corner of that existing solid filled jetty, essentially. We're not looking to do that. Riparian right are not lines of ownership. They're a right to enter and access a property that is on the water. and there are several different ways of doing it. We tried to keep back the required 25 feet from the riparian line, but technically what we did was the property line runs parallel or coincides with that solid fill jetty. That's why I think it's built the way it is. And from that point, we go perpendicular to the channel.
So is there a channel?
There is a channel, but it's not a Army Corps or regulated channel.
One of the questions I will have is, what channel line are you drawing this perpendicular to?
We're drawing it perpendicular to the marked buoy channel out on.
Right, but that's not on here.
Well, it's.
We had talked about, I said if there is some channel line, then at least show what this bearing is to. So if it's not, if it's perpendicular to the channel, then just say perpendicular to the channel, and then show the foreshortened line to the channel.
Okay.
Something like that.
All right.
Otherwise, it should be the extension of the property
Yeah.
line.
The line to the south is even trickier because.
Well, that one ended up being the same bearing as the property line.
Well, it is because it's perpendicular to the shoreline, which is the historic high water that was filled in when they built River Street. The railroad, when they built River Street to provide access for all these properties that are below the railroad to North Main Street, they filled in the cove that was there.
I'll review it, and you and I can go over, excuse me, whatever other concerns we have.
So that one, I just turned the 90 off the street line essentially because the street line never really
But
existed.
we should probably do them both the same way.
Yeah.
Not pick and choose which one's more advantageous, so. It should be one procedure. We'll talk about it.
Well, the idea with riparian lines is to give the same width you have on the shoreline to the channel. That's the goal. In a perfect world, channels are nice and straight, and if they're regulated channels, you can do that very easily, or harbor lines, you can do it very easily. When you have a varying channel, it's hard to make it perfect.
Okay. Anyone from the audience here on this?
You know, if I may, excited about this project. Have known the family and the business for decades. Fantastic, hardworking folks. You know, been on the water forever. Certainly familiar with the rules around the water and respectful of the water. Former harbor master down in Martha's Vineyard. So I'm hoping that Sean and our city engineer, Mr. Aguirre, can get to these sticky points as soon as possible so we can move, because we're encouraging so much development in the midsection of the Taunton River corridor. We've had success with entertainment and water enjoyment in the south end, south portion of the Taunton River, and I think this would be exciting. And I've even had people at work, you know, who've kind of seen some of this in the paper on social media, you know, excited to see this get off the ground and have something like this up in the northwest corridor of the river. So again, I can't stress if we can have at least a solid, get together, meeting of the minds, which I know you guys are both highly qualified, and gentlemen who speak the same language and terminology with this. So, we could please get together on the sticking points that are probably mostly procedural at this point.
We'll get there,
Moving
100%, we'll get there.
I think
But
we will too.
understand, the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction is the Wetlands Protection Act.
Yeah.
That's where it
Yes.
ends. So we are but a small cog in this entire process.
In the entire venture.
And that's all we're looking at today.
Yeah, yeah, and I do thank you for your time, though, I do appreciate it.
Well, as you can see, we do not want to hold this project up. We just want to make sure everything is.
Understood. I mean, I was all
Right,
dressed up. I had to
you
come
know.
to a meeting anyway, so I figured I would show up anyway. By the time I saw Mr. Aguirre's email, it's like, and I talked to the client, and she said, well, why don't you go just to make sure everybody's kind of, there's no extra comments or other things that, are gonna dribble along the way. We'd like to get this wrapped up as soon as possible.
So we just get the paperwork and we'll be all set.
Everybody's supportive, at least for our little piece of the puzzle here.
And again, addressing these things also protect the interest of your clients as well. The
Right.
future interest of your clients. So we
So-
want to be sure it's done appropriately.
And we're sure you've got the marine fisheries letter and everything, right?
Yeah, I actually brought that to everybody's attention at the last meeting.
Okay, yeah.
And so in the vein of that Chris is bringing, so we had a very similar project for Borden Light Marina.
Yeah.
And we made sure that the city was represented well. And when this application, because once we're done, goes to chapter 91 at DEP, they understand that the city of Fall River did their due diligence and followed the Wetlands Protection Act. This is not a rubber stamp, but we'll be embarrassed by what someone submits to Chapter 91. That won't happen, at least not while I'm here, so we will get there. I can't see why it wouldn't be resolved before the next meeting, so.
Okay.
I'll work with John closely to get it scheduled beginning of next week, give me this week to review it, and then we can iron out whatever details we need to.
All right.
I'm hoping that everything has already been added here, so once I get into it,
I
put
believe
my
it's-
glasses on for a while, I can see it better.
All right. So can I have a motion to table?
Motion to table?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, discussion of violation enforcement order SE-24-161, 372 Stevens Street, table from October 6th.
So with that, I'll offer that later on in tonight's agenda. You will see that an ANRAD was filed for this property, and also a request for certificate of compliance for the outstanding order. So we'll deal with those when we get there. I don't think we need to table the item, because they're being addressed
Okay.
through other filings.
Discussion on violation of 394 Kilburn Street.
Nothing on that. We haven't received the filing on it, so I did send, I think to Chris,
Yes.
was it after the meeting, some, because we had just gotten new aerial photographs of the area that clearly illustrates activity had taken place, thus the violation. So we'll sit back and wait and see if something gets filed. When I'm in the area, I keep driving by and take a look at it. And a little bit more creeping is happening, but we'll wait a little bit and see what happens.
All right, can I have a motion to table?
Motion to table. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Under new business,
For new business, Commissioner, can we take item number 6 out of order and take that one first?
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hello everyone, my name is Matt Donovan. I'm from Benish, here to represent Keolis for this RDA, confirm the accuracy of the maps used for vegetation management along the commuter rail right-of-way. This RDA is submitted to your commission every 5 years, required by CMR 11, and it's required to get these determinations before submitting the vegetation management plan for approval to Mass Department of Agricultural Resources. Vegetation management plan manages and controls vegetation to keep the railroad in operations safe, and there are regulations in place to keep the sensitive areas protected. These sensitive area restrictions are in CMR 11.04. The maps we provide you with are mainly made for the chemical portion of the plan, but often dictate where mechanical methods will be used due to the chemical restrictions. Each year there are 2 main chemical applications, one in the May to June timeframe that targets the roadbed of the track, and then one in the August-September timeframe that targets the brush in the areas adjacent to the roadbed, further away from the tracks. The sensitive areas marked with blue and yellow on the maps are restricted from that brush program further away from the tracks and will only receive the roadbed program. So that's what I'll focus on, as it's the only chemical application taking place in these areas of your jurisdiction. The roadbed application is performed by a spray truck driving directly on the track, has nozzles on the backside about 18 inches above the ground, spraying the solution directly down, extending up to 12 feet from the center line of the track. Certified applicator is always accompanied by an environmental monitor familiar with site conditions and equipped with these maps, instructing the operator as necessary. The applicator has the ability to turn off the nozzles with the flip of a switch, or in many cases just the side nozzles where it's targeting the shoulders, where it may be getting closer to the buffer zone of a sensitive area. The yellow zones will never receive treatment to the shoulder. It may still receive treatment directly down onto the ties, and that's done at the environmental monitor and applicator's discretion to keep it within the regulations. And the blue zones will typically receive the full roadbed treatment at a 1-year interval. I don't believe you have any dark blue zones, but those would be like more water supply or DEP zones that would receive the full roadbed treatment at a 2-year interval, but there aren't any of those in Fall River. In these blue and yellow zones, due to the chemical restrictions, more effort is put into controlling the vegetation with mechanical methods. We are seeking a positive 2A determination to confirm the maps, as well as a negative 2 and 3 determination for the work that's included in the vegetation management plan.
2 questions.
Yes.
One, do you have a copy of the legal ad?
I don't have a copy of it. I know I have it.
Can you email a copy to somebody's email address?
Yeah.
That's what open hearing now, to show
Okay.
that it was advertised properly. To be
Okay.
on the agenda tonight. Then I think in the request, it was to renew the 5-year vegetation plan, which is set to expire in 2025, December 31st. So this was previously approved under an RDA 171. So are we asking for a new RDA?
It would be a
Or is
new,
this an extension of the old RDA?
no,
Oh.
it's a new filing, so it's technically not a renewal, it's a new plan that's gonna be approved, by DAR.
Right, just because in the narrative it said, all right, so with that, I mean, I don't have an issue with it, but I would table it till we get an ad, just so that everybody's treated correctly. You don't have to come back, you can send us a copy of the ad, we'll deal with it
Okay.
internally. So why don't we do that? If you send us proof of notification and that the legal ad was placed,
I guess do you know if the legal ad was placed?
I don't know, that's up for the applicant to do. So,
It is up for, okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, typically, I usually pay for them, they usually reach out for payment.
You have to contact the Herald News, that there's a template
Okay,
to place the ad, and you pay them directly,
okay,
like everybody else has. So if that didn't happen, then we can't act on it, but let's get that resolved so that you can advertise before next month's meeting.
okay.
Bring a copy of that, and then we'll act on it at that meeting. That would be
Okay.
my recommendation.
Is there any
There's no abutter
opposition?
notification, there's no, what's that? Sorry.
Yeah, there's no abutter notification and
No,
all that, it
not
would
for
be
an
exempt
RDA,
from
no.
all that.
Nope.
Is there any opposition to the
No.
requested, once we
I don't
get
believe
that
so.
settled
No,
out?
it's just a form, it's just a process. and
Right, yeah. So
we have to
I'll
abide
get
by the
that.
process.
So if you want, email Patty, she'll send you the template
The form,
and the process. It tells you who to call, what to do, and
okay,
take
perfect.
care of that, okay?
So do we have a motion to,
Table?
table or
I would table
table till next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
table for legal ad.
Second.
Only because you don't know if somebody will show up after you place the ad,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
theoretically, so we don't need to.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All righty.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
So just so that you know, and I'll send you a copy of it, the previous RDA, or the previous DOA, was a negative box 5 and cited the exemption.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's why, when I looked at it as extending that one, because then tonight you said you wanted a positive.
A positive 2A with a negative 2 and 3.
Okay, all right. So I don't think that was done the first time, so it wouldn't be an extension. I'll read through it again, but just
Okay.
make sure the legal ad says what you want.
States that,
And
okay.
I'll go through what you submitted for a request,
Okay,
okay, this
thank
time.
you.
Yeah,
Yep.
thanks.
All right,
Snag,
next.
yeah, I think we, and
Excuse me.
Chairman Brand, I think we
Sure.
Hi, you guys, you speak so softly and so quickly, but I distinctly heard 372 Stevens Street. Is that, did you guys already discuss that?
No,
We
the
will.
applicant asked to table both of those,
Oh.
because I've asked for additional information.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, the wetlands line wasn't accurate or complete,
uh-huh,
and then the plans that they submitted didn't illustrate that they were in compliance with their original order of conditions, so they have some work to do. So it'll be back next month's meeting.
so does that mean we're gonna get a
You will not be
letter?
re-notified, no.
No,
So it'll be, what's the Monday?
December 1st.
December 1st.
December
Yep.
1st,
Same room, same time.
same room, same
Yep.
time?
And if you wanna call the office, we'll let you know if we've gotten something in time that we'll be able to deal with it that night, so hopefully save
It
it.
seemed like there was some work that they did without.
It did, and that's what spurred this all
Yeah.
on,
Mhm.
yeah, so
It's been-
they were given an
So
enforcement action.
December 1st.
Thank you, because, actually I
Yes.
expected that with the request.
But those two items that they filed, that they've requested a table, won't be coming up till like 4 more items. But they're asking to table those items for additional
So
information.
December 1st,
December 1st, yep.
okay.
Thanks.
And if you wanna see what they submit, call the office and we can email you copies of whatever they send.
Okay, great.
Okay?
I even have an aerial shot.
Oh, we
I
have
brought
plenty
my
of
own
them.
props,
Yeah.
and it don't look like this no more. Shame, shame.
And we don't even know what they're building, like, they don't even.
Well, from what I'm told, they're not building anything. It was for exploratory soil testing,
Yeah.
so we can only act on what they give us, but
I
we're
get
not supposed to be
that.
discussing it because the
I-
hearing wasn't open, but
Yeah,
that's
thank
fine.
you so much.
Yep,
You're welcome.
no worries.
Thank you, have a good
Very
night,
nice, too.
everybody.
Next, we have a request for extension of order conditions SE-24-741, 120 Charles Street. Anybody here on that matter?
I'll recommend that they issue a 3-year extension to the original order.
Do I have a motion for a 3-year extension?
Motion for a 3-year extension to the original order.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And just so you know, that was the Liberty Utilities, that when I looked at it, it shows the culvert that they were discussing. So I sent them those plans when I found them, so.
All right. Let's see, next is a request for certificate of compliance, SE-24-759. Applicant is Highland Farms Development 2 LLC, owner St. Vincent Service, Inc., project location Hayfield Lane, Brookfield Terrace, Sunnybrook Circle, part of Highland Farm 2, assessors map U-04-001, U-05-001, filed by Carsley Sok and Civil Environmental Consultant on behalf of the applicant. The applicant requests a certificate of compliance.
No idea about. This is for the subdivision work anyway. but-
Right.
So this is, it's actually a partial release of the order of conditions. Order of conditions for the entire subdivision dealt with an additional street, which is Briarwood Lane that came off of Courtney, wetland replication area that was off of Courtney. 2 separate developers ended up buying 2 separate halves of this subdivision. So this would just be a partial release for the roadway, utilities, and drainage systems associated with Fieldstone Lane, Brookfield Terrace, and Stony Brook Circle. That was the work that was done by Bristol Pacific Homes. They were actually in the process of roadway acceptance for their 3 streets. And I explained to them, part of that process, you should come in and seek a certificate of compliance now. So you are not giving a certificate of compliance for the entire order. This is only a partial having to do with those streets and the utilities associated with each. And then I put, no certificate of compliance shall be issued for the roadway, utilities, and drainage systems associated with Briarwood Lane or the required replication area. So the order will still stand for those 2 sections of the order.
Okay. So could I have a motion for a partial certificate of Hayfield Lane, Brookfield, Stony Brook, and Fieldstone Lane for utilities and partial drainage?
Well, without Fieldstone, right? That's not,
No, Fieldstone's in it.
Oh,
Hayfield
Fieldstone,
Lane,
okay.
the name changed to Fieldstone. Police
Okay.
Department name changing.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next, notice of intent, SE-24866. Applicant is Sean and Laura McDonald, location 128 Saudi Pond Avenue. Assessors map D-23-007, filed by Gregory Driscoll Jr., JDE Civil Inc. On behalf of the applicant is proposing construction of addition to an existing single-family dwelling.
So before we start, green cards and legal ad. We got them all? Good to go. Before we get started, and it's not often that I say this, this submission was excellent.
Oh, I look.
The engineering was excellent. I don't
Very
know,
professionally-
who's the
Very
engineer?
professionally done.
Him and I worked on it.
Listen, he did a great job, but we normally don't see work at this level, so we
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
That's why I recommend approval, so that's, but that's part of it.
Well,
because
good. We're off to a good
because
start.
all the questions are answered, and it was done well.
Thank you very much.
But we'll let you go.
Well, to start that, my name is Amanda Langer, and this is Josh White. We are from JDE Civil in Easton, here to represent Laura and Sean McDonald. They reside at 128 Saudi Pond Ave. They currently have an existing single-family dwelling. I know it says it's a 3-bedroom on the assessor's card, but it's actually only a 2-bedroom. They have a disabled son, and they want to create an addition to help accommodate him better, give him his own living space, so on and so forth. The site contains a buffer zone. There's very small patches of wetland flags. The wetland line was delineated by Brad Holmes. I'm sure you guys are all very familiar with Brad Holmes. It is abutting Saudi Pond, so there is a little inland bank, and there's also wetlands across the street, but that really doesn't come into play with anything we're doing here. It is in a FEMA flood zone A, and based on the research that I've done and the previous LOMAs that have been filed on Saudi Pond Ave, we established the BFE to be about 139, even though it doesn't call that out on the FEMA site. They have approved and removed quite a few structures based on that. The 139 doesn't even, is, right here is 139.6, just to give you an idea. 139.48, so it doesn't even come up onto the property. The next go around, once this is built, is we're gonna be filing a LOMA for them as well. We have included the, sediment controls around here to help with that. There is roof drains directed into a small infiltration trench there. The septic system is actually sized for 3 bedrooms, so we're only adding 1 bedroom, so that's not gonna be an increase in use, so we don't need to change the septic system as well. So that's just gonna remain as is, and there's a proposed dewatering sediment basin there. I didn't do a construction exit or entrance for this, just strictly because it is a gravel driveway, so
It's already making a mess.
it's already serving its own purpose, yeah, exactly.
I have one.
Other than that, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, there's no proposed grading. It's gonna be a slab, it's gonna be set at the same elevation as the existing home, so it's just gonna all be,
Do they have a basement now? I was
No.
just curious, no.
no.
So with that, you'll see in my comments that I recommend the issuance of the order, 2 special conditions, site plan review approval and Board of Health approval. And I think, I'm not sure who I emailed the site plan
It would be
review
both of
stuff
us,
today.
yeah. Yep.
One of the conditions of that was could you send in floor plans existing and
Yes,
proposed?
and we do have those, and.
We don't need them here. but
Yeah, I
a
didn't
review
send
for
them
the
in
3
here, but,
different-
right.
You're gonna see it 2 more times yet.
Yes,
before we get
and
to
you
the
did,
spots.
just to answer your one quick question, you did have a question about the concrete cover back there.
Yeah.
So that was the old cesspool,
Yep.
that was prior to these owners now.
Nothing going into it, there's no
Nothing
laundry,
going
there's
into
no
it,
nothing.
nothing
They
coming
didn't
out
they
of
didn't
it.
make them get rid of it back then, huh?
No, they didn't, and it's one of the, it's probably completely dried out, there's, I
Okay.
think, Jim, the surveyor, said that they couldn't even get the cover up, it's like a
Got it.
huge, like,
Okay.
over
Might
a
wanna
foot
fill
thick.
it, just for
So.
safety purposes.
I mean, it could very well be,
Yeah.
but they couldn't pop the cover
Got
to
it.
do it, so.
Some 2-legged animals will find a way to open it and fall in it.
Yeah, somehow.
I mean, well, they have the machines out there, it might not be a bad
Yeah.
idea, Sean.
Yeah, you wanna see what's down there, sometimes they used to tie in laundry to those,
Yeah, that's,
you know, and you wanna be careful that it still isn't tied in.
yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
that was my question, but again, separate agency from this one, but I'll end up reviewing it for the Board of
Yeah.
Health too, so.
Yep,
So no, it was very, like I said, very well done, appreciate it.
Thanks.
thank you very much.
So we're gonna have a motion to order.
No, I don't know if there's anybody in the audience for or against.
Anybody for? Okay.
Motion to issue order of conditions with the following special conditions, the site plan review and Board of Health approval prior to the start of construction.
Do I have a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Well, thank you
Very
very
good,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can come up in front of you again soon.
Yeah, hope you get small work in the city.
Next, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation and SE 24-867. Applicant owner is Russ Guerrero, 3G Realty Limited Partnership. Project location 372 Stevens Street. Assessors map is E-26 lot 0001. Filed by Sean Ainsworth, Insight Engineering on behalf of the applicant. The applicant is seeking to confirm the boundaries of bordering vegetated wetlands.
So we conducted a site walk, and even if you look at the plan, you'll see both the northerly boundary line and the southerly boundary line. The wetland delineation falls about 100 feet off in both directions. So they need to continue those lines out and follow where they go. I did send a sketch today to the consultant where I think they go. It's pretty obvious. There's been a wetlands determination on the property to the north. There's been one done to the property to the south. So it's just connected dots. So they are aware of the fact that they need to make those changes to the plan. With that, they requested to table the matter until they get that shown on the plan.
Motion to table?
So moved.
Second? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next is a request for certificate of compliance, SE 24-161. Applicant is 3G Realty Limited Partnership, project location 372 Stevens. Assessors map is E-26001, filed by Sean Ainsworth, Inc. The applicant requesting a certificate of compliance.
So, same project. If you remember, there was an outstanding order of conditions, I forget what year it was, but it was quite a while ago. Set of engineered drawings, order of conditions, drainage structures to be built, installed, infiltration chambers. So they submitted a request for a certificate of compliance form. On it, they checked the box that there were no engineered drawings, which was wrong. So there were engineered drawings. That requires a letter from an engineer stating that it was built in accordance with the plan. Then the plan itself didn't illustrate any of the drainage that was supposed to be installed as installed. So they have some work to do on that one. Although very difficult now to determine, because it's all under pavement, but there should be some effort that can be made to show that it was built. Otherwise, they can't get a certificate of compliance. So they're gonna work on that as well. So with that, I recommend that the matter be tabled. And actually, we did get an email asking for it to be tabled.
Okay, motion table.
So you don't have to take my recommendation, you can just take that request.
Motion to table.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alrighty. Let's see, next is amended order of conditions SC-24-8319. Owner applicant is Russell and Cynthia Petty. Project location 66 Shannon Street. Assessors map is D-09-0089.
So this was, you had issued an order of conditions maybe a year ago for septic systems, some work done in the rear yard. This is all on Watuppa Pond. Part of that was they were gonna be tying into an extended water line in Shannon Street. Since that, the applicant has decided, and went through the Board of Health process already, to install a private drinking well rather than go through the expense of extending the water line up in the street. So that proposed well is fairly close to the Watuppa Pond, so I did ask them to file an amended order just so that it's on the plan. So they're asking for an amended order of conditions to allow that well to be installed. And we'll let Mr. Barabee add anything that he would like to.
That's it, Bob Barabee, ProLine Engineering, and with me are the owners in the back, Russell and Cynthia. Just like Dan said, they were gonna put the water service in, and now they're gonna go with the proposed well. We had to set it back closer to the pond because the septic system is proposed in the front of the street. The house that abuts it to the right also has a well in the back towards the pond, and their septic system's in the front. So where we placed the well was to keep it 100 feet from those two septic systems. There's another septic system on the other abutting property, which is closer to our well than the 100 feet. And we went to the Board of Health on that to resolve that issue, and I think we're all squared away with that. So I did put erosion control around the entire site towards the resource area. So that'll be installed before the well gets put in place.
The only concern I have is getting a well truck back there.
Sure, it's gonna be tough.
Because the proposed
Yeah.
grading,
Yeah.
I was expecting the plan to come in and maybe add some, like a proposed grade change to
Yeah.
level off, but be careful.
Yeah, we will.
Alright. I mean, you can level those things off quite a bit, but there's gotta be,
Yeah.
what was like an 8-foot I'm assuming
Yeah,
almost an
drops
8-foot
down.
elevation difference between the front of the well truck and the back, but
Yeah,
you
yeah, it
have,
does
you have
drop
some work
down.
to do.
Okay.
Any questions for the board?
No?
Can I have a motion to amend the order of conditions to allow installation of private drinking water?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Sorry.
Good luck.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I did get, Old Harmless, I'll get to that tomorrow. I was off Thursday and Friday, but we'll get to it and get these all squared away at once, all right?
Did you want me to pick that up and take it to the,
Not yet, I haven't reviewed it. I wasn't here Thursday or Friday, so I did see it on my desk today, but
all right.
I had 18 agenda items to review for tonight's meeting, so I'll get to it tomorrow for sure. Okay? Thank
Whatever we
you.
can do, I'll do it.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, approval of minutes from October 6th.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. No citizen input. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.